I think, I don't know, there's a few big influences on me early on, like obviously having the music around the household, but also I had an amazing teacher, Stuart Clayton.
Oh, right, Stuart really well.
I imagine, So Stuart was incredible, like straight away, like from day one I was reading.
Did you go to him sort of like pretty much immediately?
Completely randomly. So, about maybe a month or two into just playing the bass, like messing around in my bedroom and stuff, doing it from books, you know how kind of start and stuff. You start
listening
messing
to
around.
records.
And it sounded nothing like the record. I'd be playing, I'd be like, why is this sounding wrong? Like obviously now I know it's like completely the wrong key, but I was just like, why do I not sound like the guy on the record or whatever? So I decided to get lessons, and then Stuart was just this incredible educator. It was just from day one I was reading, I was doing all these things, and like, you know, because he's got his publishing company as well as Baseline Publishing. So like with that, obviously he had all these books coming out, and he'd teach me the things from the books, and it was like so applicable. Like a lot of the things still come up today that Stuart's taught me. So I mean, I think he was like massive part of shaping kind of what I became as a musician, and like with like session tips and stuff. And it was luck of the dice. I could have called any of the numbers in the phone book.
It just happened to be him.
Just happened to be Stuart Clayton's bass lessons. A slap extraordinaire. Like,
so you actually didn't even, obviously you didn't even know who he was.
Didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about sourcing people out. I could have got the worst teacher in the world, and I'd have a completely different career now, possibly. So through Stuart, like I definitely owe him a lot for my career.
And were you serious about it straight away?
Yeah.
Because you were like 15, 16.
Yeah, 15, 16. So it's kind of like, I guess a little bit later than a lot of people. A lot of people I speak to. As well. Yeah, a lot of people I speak to, like, a lot of friends are like, oh yeah, I picked up, like, especially with drummers, I don't know why, but they're like, oh yeah, I started when I was 5 or 6.
Yeah. What?
I wish, exactly. I wish I
sitting on a pot here.
Because you see these people that have internalised the music from like 5, you're like, oh man, I wish I had that. But anyway, people have got different paths. But so I guess from there, like, Flea was this like massive influence on me. Like the second I heard Californication, I was like, damn, like
this is it.
Like, because up until then it was just like, it was amazing stuff, but I've been playing like basic blues and kind of like, I don't know, the bass had been this kind of the root instrument, like as people, like,
kind of in the background, holding everything together.
You
and then with the Chili Peppers, it's right in your face, and it's just amazing.
The Chili Peppers are like, this is the instrument. Like I kind of get the bass book, and I'd be like, what's he doing? Trying to figure out what he's doing, like doing it by ear and then doing it by the book and stuff like that. And it'd be like, Flea was just this guy, like, you know, obviously, you know, his playing, it's just like so out there. And like kind of a lot of the times not what a bass player would always do. And it's this is awesome. So like through his playing, I was like religiously just playing the bass. Like,
was he your main influence at that point?
He was at that age, yeah. So like get home from school, straight away, like straight on the bass. Like this little Trace Elliott like combo, this rubbish like encore bass. Sorry, encore. It was awful. It was it was so bad. And like the classic story, fingers bleeding, like cramps, like getting really frustrated, throwing stuff across the room, like why can't I do this? And then things clicking, and like that magic of like this is starting to work, this is starting to happen. So I guess that, and then the big point for me was Jameson. Like the second I discovered Jameson, I think probably through Stuart. There's that amazing book like Standing in the Shadows of Motown.
The book,
the Bible,
the bass Bible,
literally, the bass Bible. So I think Stuart introduced me to Jameson, and I was like, wow, like this guy was doing it way back when. Like obviously Flea's doing it now, but like this is like 60s.
Yeah, and they're great tunes as well.
No, of course, they're amazing tunes, and the things that Jameson would do, like the way he'd play with the vocals and with the rest of the band, the bass lines he'd come up with, it was incredible, wasn't it? Like so, like it
and you were reading as well, probably.
Exactly.
You've been reading from the start.
Yeah, which is always a tip. Like when people ask, like, what's a good way to kind of really hone stuff, is to say like reading, because you can physically see on the page and the curvature of the notes and the way everything's going,
and the rhythm as well.
Exactly, you can see how people have built the bass lines. It's a really good way of visualizing it. I wouldn't say it's like the only way to go. Obviously, like developing isn't it? But seeing the bass lines written out,
it's super
very
helps,
different,
isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say from day one, if you're reading, it's a great.
And did you read right from day one?
Yeah, again down to Stuart.
Steve Pearce was the same. We were talking to Steve Pearce earlier, and he was like, when did you start to read? And he was like, day one. I was like, open the book. F. And he was like, look at F. Okay, same thing. He said so it's never been really an issue for him. He didn't have to kind of rewind or anything like that. It was a beautiful path where he just learned to read and play bass at the same time, same as you.
Yeah. So when people say, "Oh, can you read?" Luckily it's just like, I can. Yeah. It's a little bit rusty at the moment from being on the road for so long. Yeah. Something like you pick it up again, don't you?
Yeah.
But so I'm very grateful that was kind of my I guess it's quite a classical approach, isn't it? To be reading straight from the start.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But
So it was like Chili Peppers and
Chili
Jameson.
Peppers, then Jameson took over.
And was there anybody else at that time?
Who was big into Incubus? Right, so I guess like Dirk Lance, people like that, and then Ben Kenny.
Yeah.
But I guess when I moved up to London to study, this whole new world of like the London scene, which I knew nothing about, coming from a small town and coming from a small place, I didn't know anything about the London music scene and what it meant to be part of.
Was it scary to come to London? What did that feel
don't know,
like?
It felt amazing, man. I was like 18. It was like Dick Whittington, you know what I mean? Getting into London, it was just like a pack on my back.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, it was awesome. I mean, like stuff like Ronnie Scott's 606, like all these things were like there, and it was like Boaters Jam Night. Like, it was all that stuff like that. Not Jam Night, sorry, just Boaters in Kingston. And it was just like, all these things were suddenly out. Like I could go to gigs every night. Like what's on a Ronnie's tonight.
And were you going to gigs and checking them out every night?
I used to collect. It had this like whole thing on my wall of collecting all the ticket stubs.
Oh man!
It's just so much stuff. And when people like Victor Wooten and stuff would come into town, Marcus Miller, getting a chance to see these absolute legends playing like places like the Barbican and stuff like that. It was it was an amazing.
And where did you go?
Tech music school. So I was in West London. So I lived in West London for about 10 years. But yeah, Tech.
And how long was the course?
3 years.
3 years, so like a degree.
Yeah, a degree. Yeah. So Tech was amazing as well. It was one of these things where like people always say like, where should you go to study? And I think it's all to do with what you get from it.
Yeah.
You get back what you put in. So if you're really serious about your studies and you meet a lot of good people, make a lot of good contacts at like music school, then I think that's kind of the most important thing.
Yeah.
If you kind of just studied and just followed the syllabus and stuff, you would obviously get something out of it. But it's kind of about developing you as a person as well. And
were you like super serious when you were there?
Yeah.
And were you playing a lot when you were there?
Massive amounts.
All the time.
Because even after I left, I sort of did a bit of work there, because obviously there was hardly any bass players, like as there used to be. There used to hardly ever be any bass players. Every diploma or degree class would often lack bass players, so they'd hire me in to come in and play with them. So I'd be playing 8 hours a day, sometimes the same tune.
Yeah.
Which is fine when it's giant steps, but certain things, it's just like playing all day. It's like, oh man. But it was great.
Who were the teachers there when you were there?
Who was Terry Gregory was teaching. Dave Marks.
Awesome. Dave there.
Yeah, Dave
Dave's
was
cool,
awesome.
isn't he? Yeah,
wicked guy. So these amazing players that are just like quite inspirational to be taught by.
Yeah.
And it was just opened up this whole new world. And then like hearing all these bass players and like getting.
And were you still into the Chili Peppers at this point? Or was this just like complete like
I think it was just a whole new world. Like,
opening up all these different influences.
Yeah, exactly. Getting majorly into kind of my jazz fusion and jazz, which are kind of all lost now. It's kind of, I was mad into it at the time, but like, that's all gone now. Do you know what I mean? It's quite a kind of phasey thing. And like, I think I was still into the Chili Peppers, but I always kind of thought of that as my childhood. Do you know what I mean?
What bands were you listening to?